welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, we live in Florida, and if I was younger and had to pick a career, I'd pick what he's doing, okay? Because this is Florida, and if you're in air conditioning, you're in an industry that's never going to die down. With me is Steve, and you're with Mechanical AC?
Mechanical air conditioning, yep.
Air conditioning. I'm so used to saying this AC. All right, how long are you in the air conditioning industry?
Oh, God. I'm going to age myself here.
Go for it.
Over 30 years, about 35 years now.
Okay, no matter how you age yourself, you haven't caught up to me yet.
Okay.
Okay? So I call myself older than dirt, but it's interesting. Why did you get into that field?
You know, it was just kind of out of necessity at the time. You know, my brother was an air conditioning tech. He's a little bit older than I am. And it seemed like something to do at the time. And I just kind of, at that point ended up running with it. Seemed like a good industry to be in, something that was always going to be in demand, and it has.
Were you in Florida at the time?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, so of course it's always going to be in demand. Okay? We can't go 5 minutes. Okay, so just so you guys know, and I've dealt with a million air conditioner people, but I got a call. There was a message from, I guess, Jill, your wife, about your daughter, who is like into ballet.
She is.
And she's really good, and I guess like her dad, she wants to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with Dad's help, she set up to do her first ballet?
Yes.
Okay, so they needed a videographer. And it was kind of a last minute thing, and I went out there and I did it, and we connected. And it happened to be a really easy job for me. But I guess it was 2 days later, I go into my house, and it's 91 degrees, or 89 degrees, something like that.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, I have all these people that I network with to call, but for some reason I called you. And I was like, okay. And you got out there, and the guy got out there. Obviously, you don't go, do you still go out?
No.
Okay. So the guy comes out, and he's looking at it, and he's praying that it's just one little piece.
The one that he had on his van.
Okay. It's just one piece, and I'm like looking at him taking out this piece, and he wasn't happy with the sound of the compressor. And then when he told me how much the compressor was, I was ready to just buy fans.
You weren't even happy with the sound of that.
No, well, I don't know the difference.
Yeah.
But I was happy with the sound of the cool air coming out when he was done.
Amen.
Okay, you ain't kidding. And my wife was like, all right, let's take the cats and come to the studio, and we'll stay at the studio because we had air conditioning here. But it works, and I don't think people understand what happens when the house gets that hot. I guess you can start growing mold and stuff.
It's not necessarily the heat, it's the humidity buildup in the house. I mean, obviously, everybody knows we have just a tremendous amount of humidity in Florida. And when the humidity builds up in the house, it really only takes about 48 hours for mold to start growing.
Wow.
That's why it's so important to keep these things running, properly. So, the humidity can build up in your furniture and the walls, any porous surface, and that's where your biological growth, as we call it in the industry. We try not to be mold experts. We're not in that industry.
Right.
But your biological growth can start growing, yeah.
Okay, so the question that I think everybody who's not in your industry has, and some have their own answers, so don't confuse them with the facts. They already have their mind made up. What do you keep your AC on when you're not in the house? Do you raise it to save money? I hear that, well, if you do that, then it costs you a lot of money to bring it back to the temperature. So for us, we like it cold in the house.
Sure.
So we keep it at 76 during the day,
Okay.
70, and we lower it to 72 at night.
Yeah.
That make sense, or should it just...
I mean, it makes sense. It's a personal preference issue, to be honest with you. So we have customers that keep their air conditioner 100% of the time at 68 degrees. Now, you and I both know that in the state of Florida, it's just really not designed to maintain that temperature when it's 100 degrees outside.
Right.
And they're sitting there wondering why it won't reach that temperature. So it really is a personal preference. I have customers that leave them at, 70 degrees, 68 degrees, all the way up to 78 degrees. My mother keeps hers at 79 degrees. And she has two sons in the industry that keep telling her, lower your temperature just a little bit. So, for that, it's really a matter of personal preference. Obviously, you want to keep it, somewhere in the 78, 79 at maximum, again, to get the machine to run long enough to dehumidify the house.
Okay.
Keep the biological growth away. So, but other than that, it really does come down to a personal preference issue. Yeah.
So the industry has changed over the years. Technology has played a big part. When I moved into this space here, where the studio is, they had the thermostat that you slide the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
The old mercury magnetic thermostat.
and
Yep.
even that top piece was cracked.
Yeah.
But the air conditioner guy came and put in a brand new air conditioner and didn't change the thermostat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, which made 0 sense to me.
No sense.
Okay, so now you guys came and you fixed the AC, and I'm going, you know what? I said to my wife, I said, Vic, I think we should get an updated thermostat. Well, we have an okay thermostat.
Sure.
And I think that's part of our problem because we couldn't get it to work right because you can set the timers on it, but we don't have the instructions. And we were lowering it to 72, and then all of a sudden we walked back in and it was 78.
Yeah.
We didn't know why. So, of course, we went to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems so complicated. So I thought maybe a better thermostat that maybe has Bluetooth compatibility.
Sure. Yeah.
Are they better?
I mean, they definitely have a lot more features on them. I personally prefer the Wi-Fi thermostats. I like to be able to control everything from my phone. If you have a Google Home and with the hubs or the Alexas or anything like that, you can control them with your voice. So they're definitely a lot more convenient. They're going to be a lot more accurate. It's just kind of the next generation of thermostat. So, most thermostats nowadays, people are going to the Wi-Fi's. For the basic features that it gives you above and beyond what other thermostats can provide you. So better in its accuracy, better in its features, yes. Reliability. I mean, you obviously can't beat something that's more basic. I mean, there's a lot less things on it to break. Let's be honest.
Right.
But don't get me wrong. The Ecobees, the Nests of the world, they're all very reliable thermostats. But it just depends on what features you want on that thermostat.
So when they finally changed the thermostat in the studio, it's I guess it's a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi thermostat. And for some reason, when the internet went down or whatever, and now we can't get into the Bluetooth feature because we don't know the passwords, and there's a way to reset it.
There is, yeah.
It just becomes, for someone who's not in it, it becomes a technical nightmare. And it goes back to what I always say, to me, air conditioning is not a DIY project.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay? The only thing that I say that I'm able to do is two things. Change the filter. I can do that. And go with a vacuum cleaner and suck out the water line.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's amazing how we don't do these two simple things. How much trouble can we get into if we don't change a filter?
I mean, if air can't get through the filter to the coil can start freezing up. If the coil freezes up, it can cause significant damage to not only the coil, the compressor, some different components in the system at that point. I mean, right up to the fact of, voiding the warranty. The manufacturer has recommendations of how often you should be changing your filter, how dirty the filter can get. I'm not saying the manufacturer's going to run into your house and say, hey, you have no warranty. But at the same time, we want to do everything we can to keep these things up and running,
Right.
and that's something that we can do, like, a homeowner
Right.
can do at any point in time to keep their system running, keep their electric bill down, and just not have to worry about those breakdowns that everybody's dreading, especially this time of year.
Oh, you ain't kidding. And how dangerous is it to open up the AC and try to fix it? Like, you read what was wrong with my AC, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How dangerous would that be? Now, this is what I learned after the fact. That I guess it stores electric in that piece.
It does.
And just because you unhook it doesn't mean the electric's out.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just had this conversation with somebody this morning.
Okay.
Because it's a capacitor. It's storing electricity. So when you have something like that, just because it's no longer connected to wiring, does not mean it can't hurt you. So in a situation like that, we definitely prefer that homeowners leave this situation to the professionals. This is what we do. Our technicians are highly trained. They spend thousands of hours training these technicians. And even at that, there's always new systems coming out that they're having to get updated training on. So for a homeowner, it's just not something you want to be touching. I mean, let's face it. You're looking at a machine with high pressured gases and high voltage electricity. That's a volatile combination for somebody that doesn't know what they're looking at.
That's true. I mean, so just so you know, when I moved into that unit, it has, I guess, a main fuse that's outside on the wall.
Correct.
Well, when I put the new air conditioner in, and he went to look at that fuse was melted into the panel. He said, "You got to change this.
Yeah.
This is very dangerous."
Definitely
so
a dangerous
he
situation.
put a brand new one in near the thing. These are things that we don't know, because I don't know that I would have said to change it, because if I have to change it, it's going to cost me more money.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So there are times that you look for the less expensive way.
Sure.
And there are times that the less expensive way will always cost you more money.
Listen, there's nothing more expensive than cheap. That's what I like to say, because we see a lot of situations where homeowners try to do things themselves, and we end up having to come out there and fix things. And a lot of times it costs them more money than if they had just let us do it to begin with.
Right.
Which is what we prefer. It's much more of a pain for us to come and fix something somebody else was working on. But it's funny you were talking about the homeowner touching their air conditioning system. Did you know that you can pull an owner builder permit on pretty much anything in your house? You want to do some electrical work, you go down to the building department, you file the paperwork. They'll give you an electrical permit as a homeowner. Plumbing, no problem. They'll give you that as a homeowner. Framing, whatever you want to do. You cannot pull an owner builder permit in most counties on air conditioning systems, because they know it's a dangerous situation that they're putting you into.
Okay, and I'm just kind of thinking, it's more of the gas or the whatever's in there that seems to be the most dangerous part.
It's the combination. I mean, but yeah, the main thing is you do have to be licensed to handle refrigerant. In the United States, that's an EPA. That's a government regulation. And one of the first things a technician will do when they start training is get licensed. The EPA license to handle refrigerant. And when new refrigerants come out, we get relicensed. We learn what the characteristics of the new refrigerants are. So those are things that we have to stay up to date on our training on.
Okay, so your company, do you offer like a monthly service plan or a yearly service plan or something?
So
like that?
we do a couple of different service plans. We do one where we come out every 6 months, maintain the unit, take care of the drain line, clean everything out, make sure everything's running optimally. It's really nice when somebody's got warranty on their unit, because then we can preemptively, change a small component here and there, and it really doesn't cost the homeowner anything but the cost of the maintenance, which you're going to want to have done anyway.
Right.
And then we can, keep you from having those breakdowns, which you just found out about. So we have a 2 time a year and we have a 4 time a year. It just really depends on how much maintenance somebody wants to do. A lot of times in some of these areas we have drain line issues, where drain lines get backed up, more often, because again, with the humidity in the state of Florida, especially in South Florida, these drain lines get backed up. Some people go with the 4 time a year just for the peace of mind of having that drain line vacuumed out every 3 months instead of every 6.
Well, yeah, I should do it in my condo, and I've seen snakes, I've seen lizards, spiders, and stuff that I have no clue what it is.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And stuff that I have no clue. And I learned to do it. I mean, it's not a hard job. That's not a hard job.
Right.
It just becomes, you got to put a value on what you're doing.
Correct.
Okay? So where it would take you guys 10 minutes to do it, it would take me an hour.
Right.
So in that hour time, I make more in an hour than it would cost me to have a maintenance contract, and you guys come out and do it. So if I have a maintenance contract and something goes wrong with your unit, like mine did,
Sure.
do you get a discount, a break?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're on a
Absolutely.
maintenance contract?
Yeah, absolutely. It's we take any rate at fixing the unit, we take 20% off everything, for a repair or any kind of accessory you might want for your air conditioner. So you're 20% off. If you're on the 4 time a year maintenance, what we do is a little bit interesting, because you're on the 4 time a year maintenance, you're obviously on that because you have drain lines that you want to keep clean.
Right.
If your drain line backs up in between, your maintenances, we come out there for free and clear it. So it's just kind of a bonus of the 4 time a year program. So, there's little things that we throw in with all those maintenance agreements, but, the main thing is, 20% off any repair can save somebody a ton of money over the life of that air conditioner.
How often should one change their filter if they have pets?
You'll ask 10 guys in the industry that and you'll get 10 different answers, but I will tell you my personal opinion on it. If you have pets, every 30 days. If you don't have pets, every 30 days.
Okay.
That's the manufacturer's recommendation to change your filter is every 30 days. Now, obviously, if you take the filter out every 30 days and you have a husky and it looks like Chewbacca's living in your air conditioning system, you probably want to modify that to every 2 or 3 weeks. But, it really is, I've seen houses that are, beautiful and completely dust-free, and you take the filter out after 30 days and it's completely filthy. You never know.
Okay. We're getting to the top of time, but before I let you go, the next question is, you go into the store to buy a filter, and there's 3,000 different types. How does one know what to buy?
There's a lot of different MERV ratings, and that's how they rate filters. Okay, the MERV rating is basically how tightly woven that filter is, and the higher the MERV rating, the more debris and the finer debris that filter will catch. Okay, I don't really like going over MERV 11. You can get 13, you can get 15. I don't like going over MERV 11 because what you do at that point is you start putting up too much strain on the fan motor. If you need a better filtration system, there's electronic options, that'll get out more dust and debris out of the air. But going above and beyond MERV 11, I'm just really not a fan of because I don't want to see you, taking out blower motors prematurely.
Right. Guys, again, it's not a DIY project. Like I always say, if you want to do it yourself, expect to spend 5 times more in money and 10 times more in frustration. Steve, how do people get in touch with you? You have a website?
Sure. You can go to mechanicalac.com. Look us up that way. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias, and we always got something going on. We're always working in the community, so we look forward to seeing people out in the community. Stop by and say hi.
And I guess we've had the phone number and stuff on the screen, so you guys have it. Check them out. Use a professional. I can't stress it enough. What a pleasure it was to make a call and get somebody there to take care of, so I wasn't going to die of the heat. And I know this is an interesting question. I call you up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My air conditioner's out. It's 90 degrees in my house. What's the time frame of you getting there?
We're getting there that day. I can assure you that. It really depends on how busy we are for the day. I mean, I've seen us get out within half an hour. I've seen it take 2 hours, so it really just depends on how busy we are at that time, but we're definitely going to get you to restore your cooling.
Is the supply chain issue still around?
With certain manufacturers, yeah. I mean, it's getting parts is definitely an art form.
Okay.
You got to know people in the industry. You got to know what phone calls to make when a manufacturer says I can't get that for 2 weeks. We start making phone calls and we're going to get you the part a heck of a lot faster than the manufacturer originally promised it. So that really is where those relationships that have been built over a long career in air conditioning come in handy.
Everybody, use a professional. Steve, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.